A junior banker at JPMorgan just filed the freakiest lawsuit Wall Street has ever seen against his female boss. This dude is claiming she did things to him in the office that I can't even say on YouTube without getting demonetized. Drugs were involved, his wife was involved, his ethnicity was involved, and the second this lawsuit hit the internet, the entire finance world crashed out, with memes everywhere. But then 24 hours later, the New York Post pulled up with a plot twist that flipped this whole story on its head. And the guy they unmasked, you're not gonna believe who he is. And before we get to the wildest part of the story, you gotta know who's actually involved here. Lorna Hajdini is 37 years old. She's been at JPMorgan since 2011, which means this woman has been grinding in finance for almost 15 years straight. She graduated from NYU Stern. She did the executive program at Harvard Business School. She climbed from analyst to vice president in 2018, all the way up to executive director in 2021. And she's running the leveraged finance division, which is one of the most powerful seats in the entire bank. So when this lawsuit dropped accusing her of pulling the freakiest stunts you've ever heard of in a corporate office, nobody on Wall Street could believe it. On the other side, you got the guy filing the lawsuit. He's only listed as John Doe in the court docs. He's described as an Asian banker of Indian descent who joined JPMorgan in March 2024 as a senior vice president. And here's the part that sets the whole story up. Lorna joined his team literally 1 month after he started. So they're working together for less than 8 weeks before this dude claims his boss started doing things to him you'd usually only see in a movie that definitely doesn't air on family TV. And it all allegedly started with the most casual little move you've ever heard of, a pen drop. You're gonna think I'm joking when I tell you this, but this is straight out of the lawsuit. It's May 2024. He's at his desk doing his analyst work. According to the filing, Lorna walks over to him, drops her pen right next to his desk, bends down to pick it up. Then she allegedly rubs his leg and squeezes his calf. But that's not even the wild part, because the lawsuit claims she looked up at him and asked if he played basketball in college, then made an inappropriate sexual comment about his athletic background that I'm not gonna repeat here. That is allegedly what an executive director at the largest bank in America said to her brand new employee in the office. But forget the pen, because what she allegedly said to him a couple weeks later had this dude scared to even come into work. After Lorna allegedly invited him out for a drink and he turned her down, because he's married, she allegedly hit him with one of the most unhinged threats I've ever read in a court document. The lawsuit says she threatened to destroy his career if he didn't give her what she wanted, and told him, quote, "I own you. I own you." People have gotten dragged in front of HR for like 1/10 of that energy. And Doe says he was scared to say no, because this woman literally controlled his bonus, his promotion, and his entire future at the bank. So he tried to dodge her. He tried to keep things professional, but that defense allegedly didn't work for long, because a few weeks later, she pulled up to his crib. And the wildest part isn't even that she pulled up. It's what she allegedly said when she got there about his wife. Summer 2024, Doe was staying at an apartment. According to the lawsuit, Lorna shows up uninvited. He tells her he's not interested, he's married, he doesn't want this. And the lawsuit says she looks at him and says, quote, "Do you want to get promoted at year end or not? Do you want a future at JPMorgan? It's that simple. I don't know why you're fighting this." But that wasn't even the most disrespectful thing she allegedly said next, because Doe's wife is also Asian. And according to the court filing, Lorna allegedly made an extremely racist comment about his wife's appearance and ethnicity. I'm not gonna repeat the words on camera, but it was bad. Like, take a screenshot of the lawsuit and put it on the screen for me bad. Then the lawsuit describes an alleged incident I literally can't walk you through on this app. All you need to know is he was begging her to stop the entire time. But the way she allegedly reacted to him crying is one of the most evil things I've ever heard documented in a workplace lawsuit. While Doe was sitting there in tears, the filing claims Lorna started mocking him for it. The filing says she made fun of him for being upset, told him nobody would believe him anyway, and called him names while he sat there in tears. She is allegedly making fun of him for crying while he's begging her to stop. If even half of that is true, that's one of the most psychotic energies I've ever heard out of a corporate employee. And the worst part is, according to the lawsuit, that was just the first encounter, because a couple days later, the filing says they had a second one, and this one somehow gets weirder than the first. The lawsuit says they had another encounter that exact same month, and this time the lawsuit describes another alleged incident the next day that's even more disturbing than the first one. I'm not gonna get into specifics, because I'm trying to keep this video on YouTube, but you can read it in the court docs if you really want to. And the lawsuit claims she berated him through the whole thing. Doe allegedly told her, quote, "I'm very uncomfortable, please Lorna, please, I'm begging you." But the lawsuit says she didn't stop. She just allegedly kept reminding him over and over that she owned him, that she controlled his promotion, and that she controlled his bonus. But none of that compares to what this dude says she said about his ethnicity. Late September 2024, the lawsuit claims Lorna got mad because her own promotion to managing director wasn't happening fast enough. So she allegedly blamed Doe for not bringing in enough business, and then she allegedly dropped one of the most racially charged threats I've ever heard documented in a workplace lawsuit. The filing claims she questioned whether management would even want somebody of his background in his role at all. The exact wording she allegedly used is so racially loaded, I genuinely cannot say it on this app. It is in the court filing if you want to look it up yourself. But this dude says it gets even worse, because she wasn't done with the racial yapping. The complaint also alleges that on his birthday, she asked him for a, quote, gift that's typically only seen on websites that aren't this one. This is somebody's actual EXEC at the bank that holds your mortgage. But all of that is somehow not even the most disrespectful quote in the entire lawsuit. Because remember when Doe was crying during their first encounter? According to the filing, after it was over, Lorna actually laughed in his face. And the lawsuit says she made a comment so racially loaded, it had the whole internet speechless when it leaked. She allegedly made another deeply racist remark about his ethnicity that's so disrespectful I almost couldn't even read it. The actual words are in the lawsuit if you want to see for yourself. I'm just gonna let that one breathe for a second. If somebody told me that, I'm walking straight to HR, then walking straight to the police, then walking straight to my lawyer. But Doe didn't do any of that yet, because allegedly, she was already doing something even crazier behind the scenes, something that pretty much nobody saw coming. This is the part that genuinely sent the lawsuit mega viral on Twitter, because according to the court filing, Lorna allegedly admitted out of her own mouth that she had been drugging him. The lawsuit claims she confessed to slipping him pharmaceutical substances without his knowledge on multiple occasions, just to keep the encounters going. So this dude is alleging she was straight up Walter White, cooking up a literal pharmaceutical cocktail in the break room. That's not a workplace incident. That is straight up Walter White cooking up a freaky little cocktail in the break room. And if you think that was the craziest accusation in the lawsuit, wait till you hear what she allegedly did with his bank account. This one had finance Twitter pocket watching the case so hard, because the lawsuit claims Lorna allegedly used her executive status at JPMorgan to access his personal bank account without his permission, just to monitor where he was going and what he was doing. That is a federal crime. That's not workplace misconduct. That is straight up identity theft and unauthorized access to financial records. If Doe is telling the truth, she could literally go to prison for that one allegation alone. But this dude says even that wasn't the worst part of all of this. The worst part started after he tried to do the right thing. May 2025, Doe finally filed a formal written complaint with JPMorgan, laying out everything in detail. You'd think the bank would protect their employee, right? Wrong. According to the lawsuit, within days of him filing, the bank turned on him. JPMorgan allegedly placed Doe on involuntary leave, revoked his access to all company systems, and basically locked him out of the building. Meanwhile, Lorna, still at her desk, still cashing checks, still an executive director. Then if all that wasn't crazy enough, this dude claims he started getting threatening anonymous calls. One voicemail was allegedly from somebody claiming to be a JPMorgan manager. Another one allegedly threatened to contact ICE about him and his family. ICE, you're trying to deport this man over a workplace dispute. This lawsuit was so dirty, I almost had to put on rubber gloves to read it. But while everyone else was reading it, the internet started doing what the internet does best. And what they did with this story might be the funniest reaction I've ever seen. The second this lawsuit dropped, it became the #1 trending topic on every single corner of the internet. Wall Street Twitter, finance TikTok, banking Reddit, everywhere. There were memes claiming JPMorgan had received 435,122 new applications in the past hour. I almost spit out my drink reading that one. The first day at JPMorgan meme got more remixes than a Drake diss. There was the POV you're a junior banker at JPMorgan meme, where guys were posting the most nervous faces you've ever seen. There was the sleeping on the couch tonight meme from married guys whose wives walked in on them reading the lawsuit. Bro, people were crashed out. And then somebody dug up Lorna's LinkedIn photo, and the comment section started glazing her like she was the next Sports Illustrated cover. The internet is genuinely a sick place, because if any of these allegations are real, this is a horrific story about a married man getting violated at work. But the internet didn't care. They were already on the where do I sign up jokes within hours. But the one post that really broke the internet wasn't even a meme. It came from somebody who claimed they were the manager who promoted Lorna in the first place. And what he said had every HR department in America reaching for the antacids. A guy named Peter Gurnis posted on X claiming he was the senior manager who promoted Lorna to executive director at JPMorgan. And he actually went on the record bragging about it. His post said, quote, "I promoted Lorna Hajdini to executive director at JPMorgan because she understood something most bankers never learn. Ownership. Ownership." Bro, you really wrote ownership with a capital O after this lawsuit dropped? He kept yapping. He said, quote, "Not deal ownership, people ownership. The kind of leadership where you don't just manage a pipeline, you manage the person building it." Then he literally hit him with, quote, "I own you. I've said it to 31 analysts over 22 years. He wrote that with his chest. Sir, you do realize the entire lawsuit accuses Lorna of saying almost the exact same words while violating somebody. And you're flexing it. The post went so viral that the internet had to step in and remind people that the post hadn't even been verified as real. But by that point, it didn't even matter, because the entire planet was already convinced Lorna was guilty. JPMorgan was about to get sued for billions, and this case was a slam dunk. Until the New York Post pulled up to the function with the receipts, and what they dropped flipped this entire story upside down. Right when the entire internet was ready to cancel Lorna into another dimension, the New York Post dropped a story that turned this whole case on its head. The headline? Bombshell sex harassment suit against Lorna Hajdini? JPMorgan branded complete fabrication as John Doe unmasked? Excuse me? Yeah. According to the Post, JPMorgan ran their own internal investigation and found zero merit to any of these claims. That's why they put Doe on leave. It wasn't retaliation, they just didn't believe him. And then JPMorgan's own spokesperson dropped the dirtiest line of the entire case. Quote, "Following an investigation, we don't believe there's any merit to these claims. While numerous employees cooperated with the investigation, the complainant refused to participate and has declined to provide facts that would be central to support his allegations." Wait, so this dude wrote a 50-page lawsuit accusing his boss of every freaky thing imaginable, but when JPMorgan asked him to back it up, he went ghost? That's actually crazy. But Lorna's lawyers also hit him with one of the cleanest denial statements I've ever read. Her legal team came out and said, quote, "Lorna categorically denies the allegations. She never engaged in any inappropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never even been to the location where the alleged sexual assault supposedly took place." Never even been to the location. That is not, "I didn't do it." That is, "I've never even been there." Which means there is probably a paper trail proving she wasn't even in that building when this allegedly happened. But the Post wasn't done. They had one more bomb to drop. And this one is the moment the entire story flipped, because the New York Post unmasked the John Doe in this lawsuit. The same dude who claimed he had to file anonymously to protect his identity from threats. His name is Chirayu Rana. And the funniest part of all of this dude doesn't even work at JPMorgan anymore. According to his own bio at his new firm, he is now a principal at the investment firm Briegel Sagemount, where he originates and underwrites investments in software, healthcare, fintech, and other sectors. So this guy got out of JPMorgan, he took a higher title at a private equity firm, and now allegedly, out of nowhere, he's filing a 50-page lawsuit about his ex-boss? Make it make sense. But it gets even funnier when you look at his resume, because this isn't some random temp. Before JPMorgan, this dude was an investment professional at Morgan Stanley. Before that, he was an associate at the Carlyle Group. Before that, he was an analyst at Credit Suisse. And he's a Rutgers grad. So this is a legit Wall Street guy with millions in lifetime earnings, allegedly trying to torch his entire career on a fabricated lawsuit. And the moment his name came out, the internet absolutely turned on him. The same Wall Street Twitter that was making memes about applying to JPMorgan a few hours earlier, now they're posting Chirayu Rana's LinkedIn. his work email, his face, his entire career history. Even John Lefebvre, the guy behind the Goldman Sachs elevator account, came out and said, quote, "It didn't take long. The NY Post found this lying piece of garbage. Chirayu Rana, now a principal at investment firm Briegel Sagemount, he got destroyed. The same internet that glazed Lorna for 24 hours straight is now calling for Chirayu's head, and honestly, it might just be the start, because the consequences of this whole thing for him could end his career permanently." Let me cook for a second. If even half of what JPMorgan and the Post are saying is true, this dude isn't just gonna lose this lawsuit, he's gonna get countersued into oblivion. Lorna's lawyers can pretty easily file a defamation suit, because remember, her statement said she's never even been to the location. If she's got a credit card receipt, a flight record, a hotel stay, anything that proves she wasn't even in the same city when these alleged encounters happened, that lawsuit is cooked. And his career is probably also cooked, because Briegel Sagemount, the firm that just hired him, is now trending on Wall Street Twitter for the wrong reasons. Would you keep a guy on staff who allegedly fabricated a 50-page lawsuit against his ex-boss at a $5 billion private equity firm, where reputation is literally everything? Yeah, probably not. But before we wrap this up, let me be fair for a second, because this case is not fully resolved yet. JPMorgan's internal investigation is their investigation. Lorna's denial is her denial, and Chirayu still has the right to take this to actual court and prove his case in front of a real judge. Even though the New York Post is calling it a fabrication, nothing has been ruled on by a court yet. So technically, all sides are still innocent until proven guilty. But based on the receipts JPMorgan is dropping and Lorna's lawyers calling this a complete fabrication, this is not looking good for our boy Chirayu. And if there's any morale to this whole thing, it's pretty simple. Don't make up wild lies in a lawsuit, because the New York Post will absolutely find you. Don't hide behind John Doe if you're not willing to back up your claims, because JPMorgan asked this dude to participate in their own investigation, and he allegedly refused. And if you're a junior banker right now thinking about pulling a stunt like this for a payday, don't. Because a fabricated lawsuit might trend for 12 hours, but a defamation countersuit lasts forever. Now, if you thought this Wall Street story was wild, you have no idea what I got coming for you next. Because a hedge fund manager allegedly snorted millions worth of cocaine off his own desk and tried to write it off on his taxes. A Goldman Sachs analyst leaked an insider trade and lost his entire career in 24 hours. And another finance guy actually tried to sue his entire company for serving him bad coffee. Yeah. The first one is so wild, I don't even know how to summarize it without getting demonetized. You'll just have to click and find out.